Welcome, dear friends. Today we're answering a question from one of our spiritual family members. It's a question about the path of bhakti and liberation. There are 5 kinds of liberation. The devotees in bhakti actually aren't so particularly interested. Our mood is whatever position we may be in, we simply want to serve and have a relationship with Krishna, and actually, moreover, Krishna's devotees, his family members. That is our meditation. Liberation is a secondary result of following bhakti. But to actually come into the association of Krishna, liberation is also needed. What is liberation in that sense? Liberation in that sense isn't to transcend the material realm, rather to transcend our attachments to enjoyments in the material realm separate from God. We are interested in enjoying relationship with the Lord by serving and relating with Him. And so we're not interested in our object or goal isn't just to transcend material existence or this world. Our goal rather is to, wherever we are, whether in this world, in hell, in heaven, to have relationship and service with Krishna and His devotees. That is our object. It is described that we don't seek any high position or low position. We're not interested in these positions. We're interested in relationship, in service and in relationship. This is the mood of bhakti, which is ahaituki, causeless, without any other motivation but love, and the expression of love, which is service. So that's why sometimes there's these interesting categories. Sometimes the demons will worship Krishna with the mood of enmity. Demon means someone who is trying to disturb others as a way to get back at God for some perceived wrong. And so they're disturbing people in this world to try to get God angry. So the idea is that here, we were discussing in a previous video, that Krishna is not disturbed if we abuse Him, ridicule Him. He's transcendental. He's not affected by these things. But yet, the demons who disturb the devotees, then the Lord protects His devotees. For Himself, He is not disturbed. But there are cases where demons are always criticizing. So there's a question here that there's an example of Shishupal, who was one great demonic personality who was always against the Lord and His devotees. He attacked Krishna, and eventually when he was killed by Krishna, by his divine weapon, he entered Krishna's feet in the form of His divine light. He achieved liberation, which means for him, the demons merge into the light of the Godhead, which is impersonal, like the spiritual force, but it doesn't have the relationship that we seek. So it's not the sweetest form of relationship or realization, therefore we don't accept it. It's a type of spiritual annihilation. It just means to merge into the oneness of light. So the question is that the spiritual world, or what is that position? The question is that before he had achieved that form, he was Jai and Vijay, and Shishupal and his brother Dantavakra, they went back and they became Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. So the question is, did he enter the Brahman or did he enter the spiritual world? In this case, because he was previously Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, the spiritual realm, he went back to that place. He became again Jai and Vijay. But that is not, the question is, can it be that we can also fall from the spiritual world having attained that position? That is not possible for us. This is a specific instance. They are his associates, and by the will of Krishna, they entered into this world. So this is called a specific lila, a specific pastime of the Lord. But it gives us some lessons that can also apply to us. But Krishna says, I promise if you come to the spiritual world, you will not have to come back to this world. There's a verse in the Gita, Yad gatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. Having once achieved my eternal abode, you will not have to enter again within this world. So therefore, we should understand that real liberation is something that is not a temporary position. Liberation is eternal. Because once having achieved that situation, the nature of consciousness is once it is in that highest state, has no interest in the lower state. So even these two personalities, Jai and Vijay, when they entered in this world, they were still connected to the Lord in every life. So to understand real liberation is a very subtle thing. Liberation means once you have that eternal relationship with God awakened, you can never lose that. And so even though they came into some conditioned state, their consciousness was in a way covered over, but the relationship wasn't lost. Why? They became glorious. Every lifetime they were related to Krishna. Krishna came every lifetime and had his pastimes performed with these personalities. And in the end they came back to him and were his associates. For some demons who are not at all interested in service and who are conditioned, they can get that kind of impersonal liberation. But just because Shishupal entered the feet of Krishna doesn't mean he merged within the Brahman. This is a way that everything is within Krishna. And so he entered the feet of Krishna, but then from there he went to the eternal abode of Vaikuntha. To understand the Godhead is not so simple. Everything is within Krishna, and yet Krishna is performing his transcendental pastimes in the spiritual world. When Mother Yashoda looked in Krishna's mouth, she saw all the worlds, all the Vaikuntha planets, but yet it was all inside Krishna. And then as she looked deeper and deeper, she saw she was there standing, feeding Krishna. So how can we understand what is within Krishna, what is outside Krishna? Everything is within Krishna. How can anything be outside of God? Everything is present there. All the spiritual abode is present there. So Jai and Vijay are present there in Vaikuntha. It said Damodar, Krishna's belly, within his belly the entire universe is present. Dam Udhar. Therefore it said, in the Kartik Vrat month we sing this song, Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam. We pray to that rope that bound the belly of Krishna, within which the entire creation is present. We offer pranam to that Krishna. So Jai and Vijay entered. They were in these different incarnations of demons, but ultimately they're always with Krishna. So this was temporary, but it didn't change the fact that their relationship with Krishna is eternal. And as soon as this pastime was finished of enabling or engaging in Krishna with this mood of fighting, chivalry, Vira Ras, then they went back to Krishna in the spiritual planet. So this is one consideration. But the question is, in the Bhagavatam, people worship God in 5 different kinds of moods, through enmity or through devotion, through fear, through affection, like a family affection, even through lusty desires. If you can focus on God, you'll go to Him. That's the basic consideration of the Bhagavat. Focus anyhow your consciousness on Krishna, and then you'll go to Krishna. So the question is, sometimes through anger, through fear, through enmity of God, we become more focused, and so we can achieve liberation quicker than some of those who are performing a certain kind of middle approach. One thing in scriptures, there's a verse, Akamo sarva kamava moksha kamudharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. One should be intense in his practice. That means one should be focused in his practice. Like Dhruva Maharaj was very focused in his practice. There's a story of this great personality who gave up all distractions, anything that caused any distraction, even food, water, even breathing. In this previous age when he could maintain his life without even breathing, he even gave up that because it was distracting him from his focus. So because of his focused mind, even his bhakti was not pure. He was doing it with material desires, but still he achieved the Lord within only a few months. So the idea is focus. Whether you're in a mood of pure love or not, you can achieve that result. But as you worship the Lord, you'll achieve a result accordingly. He reciprocates with you. He is wish fulfilling. Krishna says, Yad gatva anivartante dadhamad paramamma. When you worship me, you'll come to my eternal abode. But how? Yayatamam prapadyate tam sadhaiva bhajamyaham mamavart manuvartmante manusha partha sarvasa. However you wish to approach me, however you offer love or devotion to me or worship, then I will reciprocate with that. So the question comes, why should we worship with love rather than worshiping God with enmity or with anger or with fear? If you're worshiping God with those different moods, then you may merge within the impersonal aspect, which is His spiritual presence, the all-pervasive Brahma Jyoti, but you won't have that intimate relationship, which is what we seek. So these are considered undesirable for the devotees. Dhiyamanam nagrananti. Even if Krishna is offering us these kinds of liberation, we're not interested in them. They are also achieved by the demons who have enmity for Krishna and who attack even the devotees. But because Krishna is all merciful, even he will give them liberation, but not that kind of relationship that we are seeking, which is the ultimate, can satisfy the ultimate desire of the heart. Therefore, in the Bhagavad, it's described that suprasiddhati, if we want complete satisfaction, that is possible by bhakti yoga, the path of devotion. In the Sastra, in the Bhagavad, it said, Savai pungsam paro dharma yato bhakti radoksaje. The highest dharma, the topmost dharma is bhakti yoga. Paro bhakti, transcendental love. This is beyond liberation. So there's a way of achieving liberation by focusing on transcendental subjects, not material subjects. If you focus your mind on transcendental subjects, adoksa, it's the transcendental reality, then you can achieve liberation. And that focus may be of different kinds, through enmity, through fear, through affection, through love, through lust. You can create that, achieve that focus and be liberated. But that which we seek, which is that loving relationship, is possible through the highest dharma of bhakti yoga, pure bhakti. So even those who are very demonic, who hate God, they can get liberation because they're so focused in their hatred. This is true. But it's described that sometimes devotees are struggling for many lifetimes. Demons may focus so intently on their hatred to God, they may be liberated very quickly. Yes? But devotees may be practicing for many lifetimes and not get liberation. So how is this fair? Krishna says, Bhukti mukti diya jan palaya Krishna bhakti naden rakina lukaya. That I may give you a bhukti, which means enjoyment in this world, or mukti, liberation, but I don't give you my intimate relationship. That place is only for those who have that pure desire for intimate relationship with God, to play, to dance, to sing, to enjoy with Him in His realm, to serve Him in His realm. That relationship, that entrance is not so easy to achieve. Krishna says, I will give you bhukti mukti, I will give you liberation, I will give you enjoyment, but that innermost sanctum, where I am myself residing with my beloveds, how can I give that? Like a king, if you approach a king, he may give you a province to rule over, but he will not let you live in his palace with him like his family members. If you go and approach a king, oh king, please make me your own family. If you have sincere mood, sincere desire to be in a relationship of love, then he may accept. But if you just say, king, I'm worshiping you for this, for that, he may give you. Take this, take that. But to give himself, that is not so easy. So devotees, we wait and we ask for Krishna himself. But that is also an easy process, because we can achieve that anywhere, anytime, any place. Krishna says, simply offer me a tulsi leaf with love, a little bit of water with love, a flower with love. Immediately I offer myself to you. In the scripture it said, you can purchase Krishna. He says, I am purchased by your love. If you offer me simply a tulasi leaf with some Ganga water, you have purchased me with your love. So what are we looking for? Do we want love? Do we want relationship? We can have that at once. The experience, the heightened levels of experience, that may be another thing. That's why there's a question later on given to us at a different time about the levels of prem, and that we cannot achieve the highest form of prem in this body, so how is that fair? Therefore we must get liberation. But this is also an idea of a material reward. We want the reward of divine love. But if we are simply satisfied to love and to serve from whatever position we are in, then Krishna is purchased by this mood of devotion. He says, I am yours. And so that is our mood. So another question is, it is said that, we should not love Krishna with material desires or with desires. We should serve like Sri Radha, who loves Krishna without any of her own desire. There's a verse, Najani apani sukh sabhivancha tar sukh amar tatparya. Your happiness, that is my focus, my purpose. To please Krishna, to please Guru, to please Vaishnavas, that is our focus. That's what we want to do. So whether we are pleased by this or not is not our concern. That is the mood of Sri Radha. But it is a fact that by relation with Krishna we are blissful. By relation with Krishna we are happy. And Baladev Vijayabhushan in his teachings on bhakti says that we should not think that there's no pleasure or happiness being with Krishna and there's no desire. There is desire. What is that desire? To please Krishna, to make Krishna happy. And Krishna's desire is to please his devotees and make them happy. Therefore they're always in this divine dance, this competition of love, which is to please the beloved. And so this is our desire. So it is not that we are desireless. But how do we love and serve Sri Krishna or Radha? Most people, they think worshipping Krishna means it should be focused on Krishna. But in our path, our mood is Radha and Krishna, the divine couple, together. So there's a question that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, it seemed that he focused more on Krishna. But this is so much in the mood of Sri Radha that it's the mood of Sri Radha focusing on Krishna. Sri Radha and the gopis are always thinking about Krishna. We were discussing this before. That if you were to say, oh, Srimati Radhika, I will only serve you, I will not serve Krishna. I only want to be with you, I will not be with Krishna. She will think you are crazy. She is always thinking of Krishna, always wanting to be with Krishna. And so if you want to be with Radha, you must be with Krishna. If Srimati Radhika is in separation from Krishna or anyhow distant from Krishna, she's always thinking of Krishna. And the way to serve her is to remind her of Krishna and her pastimes of Krishna, to sing Krishna's names. So really we are Krishna conscious. We are not trying to be Radha conscious. Radharani is Krishna conscious. And so Swami Prabhupada is always talking about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. This is the mood of Srimati Radhika and her followers. You understand? The mood of Srimati Radhika and her followers in our lineage is they're always thinking of Krishna and trying to please Krishna and in love with Krishna. And so anyhow, even if we're with Sri Radha, when we are with Sri Radha, she's thinking of Krishna. Either in man or not, but anyhow she's thinking of Krishna. And so really our object of worship is Sri Radha and serving her and serving Sri Krishna together, Yugal Kishore, the divine couple. They're not separate. We don't want to see them in separation. We want to see them in meeting. You understand? We want to serve in the meeting of Radha Krishna, not the separation of Radha Krishna. But yet, when they're in separation, she is still thinking of Krishna, so we're always reminding her of Krishna. So in this way, we're always Krishna conscious. Those who are not in the service of Srimati Radhika, there may be some moment when they are not Krishna conscious. But those who are serving Srimati Radhika, certainly they're always Krishna conscious. Because even when Srimati Radhika is separate from Krishna, they will remind her of Krishna. And when she is meeting with Krishna, then what is the question? She's always together, their object is always Radha and Krishna. Your object of love and focus and devotion is always Radha Krishna. So there's no contradiction. We're always absorbed in Radha and Krishna together. So there's another question here. What does it mean to remove all the poison? For example, the demons, their poison will come out when they go to the spiritual world. For example, Shishupal, again, he was insulting Krishna 108 times, and then Krishna gave him liberation. So it seems like if you do bad things, instead of getting to a lower position, you get a positive effect. How is it possible? In relation to Krishna, everything is positive. So even if you're a demon completely focused on God, then you can get liberation. This is a fact. If you perform sinful activities separate from Krishna, separate from God, then you will go to a lower position. But if you're a demon performing heinous actions, but thinking about God, focused on God, then you will be liberated. Everyone else associated can also achieve liberation. So the question is made here that Christians, they will say, we are all sinners. This is the idea. Because we are here, not in the spiritual world, worshipping Radha Krishna, we are sinners. But that is not our mood. We are not thinking the soul is sinful. In our scriptures, the soul is never sinful. There's a verse that says, Atma Nitya Shuddha, the soul is eternally pure. Avinaso, it is infallible, there's no sin that covers the soul. It is simply ignorance or avidya, lack of pure knowledge, and turning away from, like you are in darkness because you have turned away from light. But you are not dark. Your nature of the soul is pure. You turn away from light, now you're in darkness, but your nature is not of darkness. So there's no real, we do not think that the soul is a sinner. And what is your innermost essence? That is the self or the Atma. There's no sin on the Atma. Simply we are in ignorance, we have turned into darkness. But as soon as we turn back towards light, then we are in light. Then there's no darkness. So really, those who are wise understand that the soul has no sin. So this is not our conception. We can call it like that. We call it sinful activities. But there's no sin on the soul. So there was some confusion from one lecture. So in this way, we're trying to answer some of these questions. Do we have to remove any poison from within us? Like when Krishna danced on the hoods of Kaliya, the great serpent, and he danced and removed so many kinds of, all this kind of venom. So there is a certain kind of poisonous mentality, and that can be removed through the process of bhakti yoga. But again, we should not think this is not such a difficult process. We should not worry so much about all these things. We simply focus on the positive and sweetness and beauty and the love for Krishna, and then everything becomes clear over time. It is asked here, Krishna says in the Gita, in the end, 18th chapter, after the verse that says, give up everything and follow me. This is a very important thing. In different stages of spiritual life, Krishna says in the beginning of the Gita, you should do your fight. Don't give up the field of battle. He said it's better to fight than not to fight. In whatever pursuit, in whatever part of your life you're in, you shouldn't give up your dharma. Krishna said it's better to follow your own dharma, your own path, than the path of another. Even if you don't follow it perfectly, it's better to follow your own path. Later on, Krishna says you should, in the chapter 8, he says, Manusmara yuddhacha. While meditating on me, you should fight. The beginning he says just fight. Sukha duke samay kritva lab labha jhayo jayo tato yuddha yujjasa naivang papam avapsisi. Fight for the sake of fighting. Do your dharma. Without considering happiness, distress, victory, defeat, loss, and gain, you should do your fight. You will not incur sin. It's not that this soul has sin, but it is something that will curtail your spiritual progress. So therefore, Krishna, at the beginning, he says, fight. Don't be weak and a coward. But later on, he says, there's a progression. In the path of bhakti, says, you should still do your dharma, you should still do your proper activities, but you should think of me. Mama nusmara yuddhacha. Because Arjuna was a warrior, he said you should fight, but you should remember God. Do your dharma and engage in righteous action. Don't engage in something that is unrighteous or adharmic. Adharmic means against dharma. Be dharmic. But then later on, Krishna says, give up all dharma and simply come to me. So this is the different stages of life or stages of spiritual life. But now the question comes that Krishna says, think of me, worship me, become my devotee, and you will come to me without fail. I promise you this. You are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So the question is, in order to actually be connected to Krishna, there is some action required on our part. Yes? Even if you are to offer obeisance, this is an activity. Yes? We have to do something, or we don't have to do anything? Do we have to do something? Okay? So the question is that there are two kinds of rejection of God. This is being brought up here. There is some activity required. Why? You cannot force anything. God is not forceful. Love is, if you force love, it is not love. So God does not force anyone to be with him. But there is passive rejection and there is active rejection. This is being brought up. Passive rejection means I'm not making a decision that I will not serve God. I am not making a decision to not please God. I am not making a decision to reject him, to speak offensively against him, or to turn my back on him. I am not making a decision to turn my back on Krishna. That is passive rejection. Understand? There's a passive rejection. Just like, not even will for ignorance, just ignorance. So this is a question about prem, which means the highest experience of divine love, and whether or not we can experience this in the body. So the body we have is made of matter, material nature, the different material elements. And when we surrender and offer ourselves to Krishna, there's a certain experience of relationship or love, but it's not to the highest extent that's possible. And that's because the material body holds this back to some extent. But that doesn't mean we can't experience happiness or bliss or very heightened state of experience of love. But ultimately, there's a verse in scripture, Agre hoi mukti tabe sarva bandhanas, tabe se hoite pare Shri Krishna radhas. As much as we yearn for association with Krishna, we must go higher. Right? Because Krishna's in that realm, in his eternal abode. So if we want to be with him, then we have to not be attached to this reality in this state that we are in. This is an option. If you want to be with him, you have to be willing to give up this material existence and achieve your spiritual existence. That doesn't mean that while in material existence we can't be happy and experience the love of Krishna. In Sanskrit, love has many levels. We just think love, but there are many stages and degrees of love. We are looking for the highest degree, that is called prema, divine love. This is called the highest goal of human life. Pancham Purushartha Krishna Prem. The highest goal of life is that Krishna Prem. But we shouldn't think love is such a simple thing. Love is very simple, but there are many stages. It's called Rati, Ashakti, Bhav, and so forth. Even beyond Prem, there are many levels of Prem, even in the transcendental existence. So therefore we shouldn't have any doubt about this. When we surrender ourselves, immediately we'll start feeling that beginning stages of love. But as we practice, this will increase more and more and more. And its fully mature state, that is when it's like when you are ready for the deepest, most sweetest relationship, that highest point, then anything that holds you back, any covering that holds you back, you'll give it up naturally and embrace the highest reality. So this body it's not like there's a form of suffering when this body is given up. For the pure devotee who has achieved bhav, which is the highest state we can experience in this body, it's called the ecstasy. Bhav is ecstasy. We experience that in this body. And at the highest state, when we give up this body, it's like when we're jumping into a pool. We take off our coat. We're wearing swimming shorts, right? So we want to dive into that pool of divine love. So why be attached to this garment? We achieve in this body an internal realization of our real identity, our real nature, our real body, our real personality, our real friends, our family, everything. That's called Swarup Siddhi. That Swarup Siddhi, or perfection of our internally realized identity, will happen while still in this body, in this physical, material body we have. That is our vehicle. But Prem, that divine love, within this vehicle, some love is realized. Why? Even in the seed of faith, there is some faith develops through love. We were describing this before. The fruit of love comes down and then the seed manifests. So the seed of faith comes from the fruit of love. That comes from the higher personality to us. But even in that seed, there's some essence of that love. So we shouldn't think that there's no prem even in this world, in our experience, in our development. There's something there, but it must develop gradually more and more. And at its highest point, when it achieves its full ripened, fully blossomed stage, then you can imagine it's described that there's different levels of consciousness. Stunted, like a tree, then budding, like an animal, then blossoming like a human being. But to achieve fully blossomed consciousness, that can be achieved in this body. When you're in fully blossomed consciousness, the body, which is a vehicle, you've achieved your destination. Then you get out of the car. You don't have to anymore use that vehicle to get to your destination. You've achieved your destination, so you get out of the car. You enter into your spiritual form. At that point, you're completely free. You're completely unbound. You can be in any situation. It's said the liberated souls, they can take on any form at will. Whatever is favorable for their loving engagement, they can achieve any form. They have their natural, permanent form in their relationship with Krishna, but they can take on any form at any time. This is complete freedom. So that at that point, we're not bound to one conception, It is not like people who say, oh, I'll take this same form with me to heaven and be with my dog and my cat in heaven. That's not our conception. That's a limiting conception. Anything that you're trying to limit by your mind and intelligence, that is considered Maya, illusion. God is unlimited. So we should not limit our conception of liberation either. Real liberation in Sastra, there's different, even liberation has many stages, like prem or pure love has many stages, liberation has many stages. The highest stage is that mukti hit vanyata rupena swarupena vyavastiti, to be established in your spiritual identity, your real relationship, in your personality, that is liberation. That is our conception. So even liberation, in one sense we say, oh, liberation, we don't want liberation. Yes, we want liberation, but real liberation. For the soul to annihilate themselves and emerge into the nothingness of spirit, which is the same as the oneness of spirit, how is that liberation? We would say that is not liberation. And we say, oh, we're not interested in liberation. Bhukti mukti spriya prasachi. Liberation and enjoyment in this world are considered, the desire is considered like a witch possessing us. On the other hand, we say we want liberation. So what liberation we want, what liberation we don't want, we have to understand the difference. What we want is mukti hit vanyata swarupena vyavasti. As described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that experience of your real relationship with Krishna, that is what we seek. So therefore, to be with Krishna, you must be divine like Krishna. Na deva deva marchayet. There's another verse in scripture. Unless we ourselves become in a divine situation, how can we be with that which is divine? So while in this world practicing, that seed of faith is developing, then a flower may bloom, then a bud may come, then some fruit may start to develop. But fully ripened, that means achieving your spiritual nature, your spiritual form. You will realize that in this body. You will realize bliss and ecstasy and love in this body. But prema, the highest culmination of that, that's like Krishna says, come to the rasa dance. So you have to leave everything else behind. This is the lesson the gopis teach. When Krishna plays on his flute and says, come to the rasa dance, you can't say, oh, I'll bring the chapati pan and I'll be cooking there. I'll bring my family there. I'll bring this and that. No, you want to go, you go. Anyone else hears the flute, they'll also come. You can't look here and there. My mother wants to come or not. My father wants to come. My husband, my children want to come or not. No, Krishna is calling me on the flute, I will go. Anyone else going or not going, that is their decision. Yes, you understand? So this means prem. Krishna is calling you to the rasa dance. Your body, all the entities in your body, no, I want to be with Krishna. Krishna is transcendental. Krishna can appear with us in this world in the deity form. He can interact with us, speak with us. But that real thing we want, that's beyond matter. It's transcendental. Why? That is the dance. The dance is there. We may dance in this world with Krishna. We may dance in Sankirtan. But that highest perfection, that is not something we're looking for here. Right? When the gopis, they leave everything behind. They simply go to Krishna. They leave everything behind. All right? So there are many questions from different people's lectures. This person said this person said that. That's not my consideration. Anything I'm saying here, you can ask questions about that. There are many questions here that are coming. This person said that, this person said this person said that. Therefore it said you go here and there to learn from everybody, you get confused. Everyone has a different idea. So this is not necessary. Don't worry about this. Everything comes over due course of time through experience. We should take the essence of everything, and anytime we have any question we should ask, but you can ask 10 people and get 10 answers, then what's the use? What's best for you according to your situation, then you can ask someone who has affection and relationship with you and wants to help you, and you have trust, and then that person can help you advance. Otherwise, you ask 50 people 50 questions and get 50 different answers, what's the use? So this is kind of like, there's different kinds of people. You want to be a connoisseur of spiritual flavors, and you want to go into the library of spiritual knowledge and pick from different books and study this and that. What's the result going to be? You're going to be some kind of scholar who has never tasted. It's like someone who's outside the glass jar, describing the glass jar but never tasting the honey. So to taste the honey, we have to become more focused. In this way we can advance in spiritual life. Hare Krishna.